see you. It means so much you come out and support me. Yeah. Also, I want to, yeah, and like, it's about people who need to know how talented you are. Hope mic check, mic check. Cool. Thanks for catching that, Daisy. That's fun. I'm not going to put her on the spot. You want to check your mic, Gab?
Testing, testing.
Yeah. Okay. My name's Domingos Coxi, and I want to thank everybody and Comic Con MCM London 2022 for welcoming us back for the Sunday Film Club presents Behind the Scenes with Indie Filmmakers Part 2. Yes, I've got some extremely talented people on the panel with me that I'm going to be hosting, and we're going to go more in depth, and we want to, encourage and inspire aspiring filmmakers and creators and how to get themselves pathways into the industry, and as well, we'll take some questions. So, but I'm going to pass the mic and let these very talented group of friends I have introduce themselves. So we'll start at the end with Ros. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ros Gilman. I'm a musician, a male film composer, and music producer. I'm going to pass the mic to you.
Hi, I'm Michael Clayton Jr., and I primarily work as a sound recordist, production sound. Sometimes I delve into post-production sound as well, but I'm primarily on set recording dialogue, whatever's needed.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you, Domingo, for organizing this again. I'm Valentina. I'm an independent documentary filmmaker and editor and photographer as well. And my work mainly focuses on people and culture of the world. And yeah.
Hi there, my name is Darryl, and I'm a content writer. I currently write for That Hashtag Show, and I run my own website called Hollywood North News, and I'm also a podcaster.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle Wood. I'm a script supervisor, taking care of continuity on various sets of features and TV.
Okay, thank you everyone. I'm just going to get straight into it. This is for everyone, so whoever wants to talk to it first. What is the importance in the film and TV industry and entertainment of the community and collaborative effort? What makes that so important? Not just film, TV, but entertainment, different facets of it. Well, whether it's behind the camera, in front of it. Why is that so important? Anybody can start on that one.
Okay, then I'll start. So, Winona Earp, Lucifer, and so many other shows. John Constantine, Living Again, across 2 different shows, across 2 different networks. Those are sort of things that show what happens when the community really digs in and does their best to get to promote the shows they love, even when networks think it isn't worth it. The same thing with The Expanse, which was somehow criminally cancelled and then lived again on Amazon. Especially when we take a look at something like Winona Earp, which is this little summer sci-fi show, which now spawns like dozens of cons around the world, has definitely empowered LGBTQ communities that finally see like good representation that doesn't end in one or more partners being killed on screen. And I think that sort of shows that what happens when networks and shows and things actually listen to their viewers and their fans.
Ross?
Ladies, you want to say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so I think it's everything, the collaborative process in film, TV. Just if we look at the credits at the end of a film, we've got hundreds of creatives working on any production, and I think Iron Man 3 had over 3,000 credits, so it's a huge collaborative effort, and everybody needs everybody else. So every role is important in any of the media productions, and it's like a clockwork, isn't it, really? So one can't really function without the other. I think it's everything in film. It's by itself a collaborative media, whether film, TV, or games.
I was just going to say that film really is community in a lot of ways. You know, people will go to a film theatre and sit with strangers and you know, want to feel a certain experience. So it's almost embedded, you know, in the industry as a whole. But you know, behind the camera, I'd say, you know, it's all about the synergy of the, you know, whole crew. They have, you know, they're working as one mind, you know, to achieve the goal of completing a certain project. And, you know, if you've only got to have maybe a couple of people who maybe aren't on the same wavelength as everyone else, and it can change the whole dynamic of a set, you know. So yeah, it's extremely important.
From my side, I think I have a little bit of different experience. I cannot really speak about group work because I work by myself. But, well, when I was in uni, I did work in groups because there were projects of uni. So, of course, I know the importance of working with different minds, and because everyone can bring an idea to the project. But I'm working as an independent documentary filmmaker, and it's my choice, actually, to be alone on set. I have people who sometimes they do ask me, can I help you? Do you need any help? Can I work with you? I always say, of course, I keep in mind, but it's not to be rude. I just prefer to be alone, because when I document a person, I'm doing a biography about a person, there is a lot of work, in my case, to get connected to this person, to build a relationship, to build a trust. So when I'm with her or with him, I want to be alone because it became more intimate, and they feel to open more, maybe about their life or whatever. So I feel that for me, in my case, in the case of a documentary about a biography of a person, I like to create that intimacy, and I can create it only if I'm alone. But again, that's also a teamwork, because it's me and this other person. So at the end, okay, in front of she or him, there is a camera, but behind the camera there is me. And you can see whatever I do or whatever I don't do, or whatever I ask, I don't ask, I look, I don't look. What happened before and after I record is there. You can feel it through the camera, because I created an atmosphere between me and the subject. So in my case, I work mainly alone, but definitely I support the teamwork, because especially if you find someone you feel very connected to work with, then you can create amazing stuff, that's for sure. I think it depends from the project.
Just to add to Michael's point, sets are like clockwork when you're working on a film set. And having said that, every set is different, because every set has a different combination of people, and that combination of personalities creates a different vibe every time. So you're never gonna be on one set, have the same vibe as another set. And overall, you want generally positive experiences, because it's made of people that love what they do. But no two sets are the same, and that's the uniqueness and a part of what makes it fun working in the industry.
Oh, thank you, guys. Yeah, I agree. Whenever you're doing anything creative, like I was talking with the guys before, it's like when you're building, I don't know, a castle full of Lego, right? If one brick's missing, then it's incomplete. So whatever your vocation is creatively, always have that work ethic of being teamwork, because if you don't, one rotten apple makes a whole batch rotten. So always keep that in mind, and just try to be collaborative as possible. That's what I would say, in my 2 cents. But thank you guys for that. To my next question, this is for everyone. I'm going to start with you, Gabby, then lead down. What advice would you give the 15-year-old version of yourself, of the stuff you know now, and what advice would you advise any of the aspiring filmmakers and creators in the audience that they should do?
If I could tell my 15-year-old self, it would be more brave. It's okay to make mistakes. You're in a learning process. Also, cold call people, email people, and you can find a film that you really like, look at the credits, see what department they're in and what they're doing, and then you can find them online and then somehow get their email, and then you email them, and then you're going to email 30 people. You might have 2 replies. That's still a win, Because one of the hardest things about the industry is actually getting your foot in the door to begin with. And that is probably going to be one of the hardest things you do. But once you win, once the ball's rolling, it's fine. It's just starting off. So I'd say be brave. It's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them. And it's okay to cold call and email as long as you've got the right tone and the right approach.
It's okay to stalker people, essentially.
For me, I would say to my 15-year-old self is that when you're in a community, invest back into that community. So, for instance, I think about that time I was very much into playing fighting games. I was living in Antigua, and there was a small community of us just doing that during tournaments. We could have done so much more with just a little bit more input from all of us, a little bit more agreement of let's make this regular, weekly, as opposed to more one-off. And those things grow massively, especially if you're going to start at that young age. So that's what I wish I'd done. I wish I'd invested more in the communities that I was interested in.
Yeah, so what I would say, so it's a 15-year-old, but myself, right, to myself.
Yeah, and,
So,
and any advice you have for
Yeah.
the audience, like
no,
creators
I
that
like
want
it
to
because
be.
then it's about what I would say to myself and to all of you, don't worry, it will all be fine. At some point in your life, you will put all the dots together. And when you put the dots together, you understand who you are, and you will understand what you want to do. I mean, it will all be okay. That's what I would say to myself. Everything you do, everything you learned, every skill you have, every knowledge you have, every interest you have, any experience you do, everything creates your persona. So at some point in your life, everything will make sense. At some point in your life, you will put together all these dots, and it will all make sense. And once you understand who you are, and you understand what you want to do, then just do it. Just do it. You don't need the consent of no one to do what you want to do. So just do it.
I would mirror what Gabby said, where it's like, basically, believe in yourself, and have a goal in mind, where you want to be. Like, vague goals equals vague results, So you want to, set a goal for yourself, but at the same time, make sure it's something that you really want to do, because it's a journey. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be times where you feel like maybe it isn't working out. But, you just have to keep focused on the goal, keep going, and you'll get to where you want to get to.
Yeah, I totally agree. Great tips right there from all of you. If I could add something to the already great advice, is perhaps as a 15-year-old, I wouldn't have thought about the business side of this industry, and I would probably say, once you've honed your craft and once you know the many skills that are required, I would probably say, think about learning how to run a business, or run a successful business more even. So all the areas of a business, because you're, as a creative, you are running a business, whether you want it or not, and it's an industry for us. So this is something I learned sort of not too early, not early enough in my career. And one of the best decisions I made personally was to go back to business school after my degree in music composition. So just keeping it in mind that the business side is important.
So can I just add one little thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. That's what I meant to say. Everything you know, it will be of use at some point. For example, I'm a filmmaker and editor, but my background is in graphic design. I studied graphic design. And this it's been useful to build my business, my image, for example. So it has nothing to do with documentaries, but it's helping me to create my business, my image, as you said. So absolutely. That's what I meant for everything will make sense. Everything you know, you will use it at some point in your life.
Can I add one more thing to that, Domingos?
So go on, Ross.
One more thing to add is just about what you said. I think often we wonder what people who are perhaps more successful than us. So often I like to think that somebody who's more successful, he or she might have learned a skill that I have not yet learned. So it's about finding, you know, the missing link, and you're only as strong as the missing link. So, you know, what's this skill that's perhaps missing yet to take you to that next level?
Awesome. But I'm going to disagree on that last part you said, Ross. Once again, you're showing humility. These guys are super talented. They've worked for some of like massive studios and from people with big shows. Gabrielle's worked on Netflix movies and shows. Darryl's interviewed some very talented actors for his publication from around the world, Canada, America, the UK. Valentina's multi-award-winning independent filmmaker. Like, it's ridiculous how many awards she keeps winning. She's very humble about it, but I'm going to big her up. Michael here, this guy's one of the best young sound engineers, boom operators in the business. He's done independent films, done big films, done stuff for the BBC, Netflix, award-winning guy. Ross as well, he's just done stuff from HBO, BBC, TV in France, so very accomplished people. But the one thing they're showing that you should always show when you get in this industry is humility and be grateful and always try to give back, however successful you are. That's something I've learned in my own journey. That's the one thing I'll give advice to any of you. Like, whatever it is you want to do, just keep going on the journey. Just keep chipping away. You're not going to climb Mount Everest in a day. It's a process. But if you keep doing it, keep putting in the work, keep believing in yourself. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of mockery. As long as you believe in yourself, other people believe in you, and you'll attract the right people that are meant to be on the pathway with you. That's what I want to say. So I want to big up everyone in this stage because they deserve it, you know. But that leads me to my next segue is, what advice is it? What's one of the fundamental things that you would advise any of the young filmmakers, aspiring creators, whatever age you are, actually, that they should do that will help them on a path of success to sort of achieve whatever level they want to get to?
A lot of the times I've heard advice that there's no excuse to start being a filmmaker. Everyone in this room has a phone in their pocket that has 1 camera to 4 cameras. And, you know, you buy any Apple device and it has editing software built in to the device. There's no excuse to start making stuff. And yes, that's true. But now filmmakers and people starting out are having to face something that the likes of Steven Spielberg and Ridley Scott have never had to have when they started out making films, and that's immense competition. Immense competition. And the solution to that would be sit yourself down, find out, okay, what is it that I can bring to the table that no one else can? What makes me different? If you can use film to communicate that in a way that resonates with people, then you're sorted. You know, filmmaking is the art of empathy. And if you can transport someone, put them in someone else's shoes in a way that hasn't been done before or with your own unique twist, then you're onto a winner.
I guess my one tip would be practice, practice, practice. Writing doesn't necessarily come easy to a lot of people, but the wonderful thing is there's loads and loads of examples within your given field that you can go and see and go and read, whether it's articles, whether it's, I don't know, fantasy novels, whatever it is that inspires you. Just look at those and look at them critically. It doesn't mean to say what's wrong with them, but just look at why, after you read this thing, you enjoyed it. Think about why you're still reading it, and just look at the structure and how things work. And it makes such a difference. And always just keep on practicing. It doesn't matter that you're writing rubbish, because you'll always think you're writing rubbish. I'm sure you can talk to Oscar winners and they think, oh yeah, that was terrible. Let's look at how many actors cannot watch themselves on screen, cannot have physical violent reactions to watch themselves on the screen. You will always think your stuff is worse than it is. So why it's good to have a collaborator that can look at those things for you. So as I say, just practice, practice, practice.
Well, yeah, definitely I agree with the practice, and definitely I agree with no excuses. Everyone can take any picture or shoot any film with the phone or whatever you have already with you. Also, if you are not conscious about that, you can do it. So what I wanted to say, it was, you can do it by yourself. Like, you can do it by yourself. And relating to finding your voice, we were talking last time about that, so I will not get too lost in that, but definitely find your voice. And maybe what I will say about this, I heard this so many times before getting into the industry, and I was never understanding, yes, but how do I find my voice? Like, for me, it's already, yeah, everyone says find your voice, but how do I do that? And what I realized last time, at the last Comic-Con talking, and maybe this can be of use, I found my voice, like, your voice, it might already be with you. Like, you probably already have your voice. You just don't recognize it. You just don't know which one it is, but you already have it. So, because this is what happened to me. So maybe what I would recommend is just don't try to copy someone else just because you think they're better, or just because, like, me and you, I was doing my document, my video trees, my portraits of people and stuff, and then I was just looking online, and I was trying to copy, or I was trying to feel, oh, this guy has so many followers in Vimeo, I should do it like him because he's good. And that brought me out of the way, because that is his way to tell a story. It will always be better than me. It's his way to tell a story. But no one else can be better than me to tell the story as I say the story, like from my point of view, with my touch. But my touch is already on me, also if I didn't know it. All the people came to tell me. And when they told me, your work is emotional, then I clicked, and I thought, okay, I will stay true to myself. So your voice is already on you. Just don't try to copy someone else. That's, I think, is what helped me. So I hope it helps you as well.
Yeah, I'll mirror what people have said before me. You know, learn your craft, like, especially if it's a technical role. You know, make sure you learn your craft, but also be open to learning as well. You know, even though, you know, I've been doing this a long while, I'm still learning new things. I'm still learning new techniques, you know, because all projects are different. You know, they all have different requirements. And I'd also say a really important thing is, you know, on-set etiquette. You know, I can't emphasize that enough. You know, being really nice to work with, being polite. You know, it doesn't matter if you've been on set, you know, 10 hours or whatever. You know, just you know, just always be pleasant to work with, because, you know, down the line, there'll be someone you've worked with a couple of years ago that might, you know, suddenly have a project, and they get in touch, and, you know, they've got in touch with you over somebody else because, you know, you've been really awesome to work with, but also done a good job as well. So that's something else I'd say is also really important.
Absolutely, 100%. And I might, if I may add to that as well, Michael, so just to go out and meet people that you can form working relationships with. So meet new friends, meet people who you can work with for the long term. And these relationships have proven time and time again these great teams that work on the biggest projects on this planet. And they continue to work together, just like you said, Michael, because they get along. They're all great creatives, and so they form these relationships, and then they love each other. They want to continue working together. So I think meeting people, going out, networking. Apart from that, it's all been said, I think, and finding your own voice is very important. We talked about this in the last panel here. Practice, practice, practice. I think the voice will also come the more you practice, the more you do, the more clear your voice will become to you. And of course, Gabby, what you said, it's absolutely agreed.
And definitely, Michael, what you said is what I meant to say with you can do it by yourself. I really meant this. You can learn by yourself. You don't necessarily need a school. You can read books. You can go online. Everything is online. You can practice a lot. So you can learn. You can by yourself. That's what I meant to say. You can do it yourself. You don't necessarily need a school or someone else hiring you to do so. You can start and do it yourself.
Yeah, like Ross said, networking, put the work, practice. And I would say as well, very important aspects I'm going to elaborate on networking. Networking and relationships are one of the most important things in the film, TV, entertainment industry. Not everybody will tell you this, but really trust me on this. This is from personal experience. The guy's been through it. Networking, go to events, go online. There's so many industry events that go on, like where you can meet filmmakers. You've got Rain Dance. You've got BFI sponsored events. You've got film events. You've got, what else I'm trying to think? The BAFTA 95, they do loads of events. They do screenings. You could bump into a young director, a young sound person, a young composer, a young script supervisor, editor, writer, and you can make a relationship with. Even if you don't know, you can learn from them. You can come and you can maybe collaborate with them. And that's why those relationships will take you, because say you're going up or they're going up, they might call you and say, oh, do you want to come on this project and work with us? And then you connect to other people in the industry and so forth. I don't know. I've ended up doing things that I couldn't have dreamed of, like a few years ago, because of the networking. Obviously, I put in the work, but the networking and being a good person, a good human being, interacting with people the right way. Right, I'm actually just going to go off quickly. Right, everybody knows who the new Elvis movie that's coming out, right? Now, Austin Butler, I'm just going to tell, because I read an article online, basically. Austin Butler was speaking, so Austin Butler did a play on Broadway. Just going to go and play what Ross and everyone was speaking about, humility and So he was The Iceman Cometh with Denzel Washington. Everyone knows who Denzel is, right? So Austin Butler Denzel's a big hero to him. Basically, Austin said he was scared. He said, I wanted to be his friend. But what he decided to do the work. So he made sure he showed up on time. Actually, he showed up to the theatre shows before everybody, even before Denzel himself. He kept on doing that, memorized his lines, was on point. And then, before he knew it, Denzel Washington called him over and started talking about acting, scenery. And Austin Butler in the article said basically it was almost like Denzel was being his acting coach and his life coach and giving him advice and stuff. And I think Denzel obviously loved his work ethic. And then Baz Luhrmann, I think it's in Darren Carnes recently in the interview, said that Denzel Washington, when he was looking for the new young Elvis Presley, Denzel Washington himself gave him a call to speak on behalf of Austin Butler about his work ethic and his conduct. So that in itself, right there, so you do not know who's watching you, anytime, any place, even here. Like you'll meet people, you don't know who they are. Just act accordingly, act humble, show class, and you never know what that door they'll open for you. So that's what I was just going to say in that. Oh, go ahead.
Domingos, just to add to your point,
yes.
Me and Domingos actually met at a networking event years ago.
Very true, yep. Yeah.
And at the time, I was just starting out and had like these little business cards that I'd made on like word art with the weird, crazy rainbow font. Yeah. And I just sort of handed these out and thought, you know what, let's give this a try, give this a shot. And you know what it's like when you walk into a room full of people that you don't know, it's extremely intimidating. And you're like, what do I say? What do I say? It helps to bring a networking buddy who can come with you and you can sort of mingle around. That helps. But honestly, the more you do it and the more you sort of throw yourself into the deep end, the easier it gets. And exactly, you never know who's in the room. You never know who you're going to meet. And even just saying, well, this is what I'd like to do, this is what I've done before. Honestly, the industry is based off networking, and who knows who. It's a hard truth, it's intimidating, but the more you do, the more you get used to it, and the more friends you meet.
Yeah, very true. But yeah, so don't be afraid to ask any questions. Don't be afraid to ask, oh, you got a question? Hang on, I'm gonna. Sorry, I'm taking it.
All right. So my question is, I'm a film student and I've also worked a little bit in the industry, and yeah, networking's so important. But when contacting people maybe, you know, that are more established, how do you balance being, you know, enthusiastic and keen and putting yourself out there with not being presumptuous? Because I know that sometimes, especially, you know, the big wigs can get very annoyed if you call them, or if you are like, hello, my name is, and I want a job, hello, how are you today? They can get angry about that. And so how do you balance your both things?
You know what, what's your name?
Annette.
All right, Annette. Sorry.
Answer this one.
I'm just running. Oh, sorry about this.
Annette.
Yeah, Gabby will take over. She's good, Gan. This is your.
The amount of emails I've sent cold calling, don't ask them for a job, because they're not going to give it to you. They don't know who you are. Don't ask for a job. I would advise taking them for coffee. Everyone loves free coffee. If you live in central London, you know, say, let's go meet in central London, let's grab a coffee. Can I just pick your brain? And also give examples of their work that they've done that you admire. If you like them so much and want to follow in their footsteps, you'll know examples of the work that they've done and what they've seen. Say, I love how you did this, I love how you do that. Let's go for coffee and let me pick your brain. And that's how you establish the connection. If they agree, fantastic. If not, maybe just a phone call. At least they know you exist. And then once you're there, you can show off your personality. They know who you are and think, oh, well, maybe now's not a great time, but I know so-and-so who's looking for so-and-so. And then maybe, okay, well, are you doing a project soon? They could say no, but I'm doing something in the next 4 months. Contact me then. Make a note. Contact them in 4 months. They'll remember you. Aha, this girl's got something. And that's how you get on board. But don't start saying, can I have a job? You're not going to get it. Can I have some coffee? Exactly.
So that was an amazing advice. Yeah.
May I add to that as well?
Yeah.
So for me, it's Domingos.
Come on. All right, man. What's your name?
Alex. I just wanted to ask, so when I sign on to a project and I ask the producer if I can choose a colorist, and they're like, yeah, sure, that's cool. And then at the end of a project, they're like, sorry, you can't, because obviously they don't want to spend the back end money on it. So how do you have that conversation without it becoming awkward, like asking for these things as a DP, like that you want to enhance your footage, and then when it comes to the end, they're like, oh, sorry, no, you can't have that now.
So just to clarify, you are a DP.
Yeah.
You shot your film, and you requested a colorist. Do you know this colorist? Have you worked with them before?
Yeah, on a few projects, yeah.
To bring the colorist on, would the production would they have to pay them rates?
Yeah, so this is the tricky situation, because at the start they're all keen for it, and then when it comes to the end of the production, it's like they obviously don't have the back end cash to do that. So how do I make it official at the start?
It depends how much you want to piss production off, but also how much. Have you got this in writing? No. If any decisions like that, especially if we're bringing on colorists or anyone in post, won't work for this time, but next time, get that in writing. It can just be an email, just to clarify what we spoke on the phone earlier. This is the agreement. And then at least you can be like, well, you said this. Of course, that doesn't help you for now. For now, I would... talking in person is the best. Phone is second best, and email is if you have to. But just go to them and say, listen, this is why it's so important to bring a colorist in. This is why it changes the whole mood of a film. You know, colorists are so important, and they are the finishing touches of any film. maybe even if your colorist would be able to get some of the footage, say this is what it is before, this is what it is after, show them the difference, show production the difference, and be like, this is where the money's going, and they can decide for themselves if it's worth it. But at least give them an example of what they're missing out on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, have that conversation like as early on as you can with the producers, especially when they first bring you on or if they're about to bring you on, and just say it's sort of like a, you know, even if it's just a slight condition that it's like a preference, and just validate it. And, you know, I know ultimately it is always, you know, up to the producer because they're in charge of the money, but, you know, you just do your best with, you know, validating why you want to do that and why you need to do that. And at the end of the day, it is your work, obviously, that's being put up. And if it's not being, you know, coloured, then it's still like, you know, do you really want to showcase that? At the same time, it's tricky because, you know, if a producer is like adamant they're not going to do it, then you just got to roll with it, and hopefully, you know, with the next project, you'll kind of get the vibe they've got more budget. I always find you get a vibe off producers like when they've got a bit more budget than, say, you know, producers who don't, I find. But yeah, that's what I'd say regarding that issue.
I actually wanted to briefly tie in with a question before about balancing the act of approaching. So everybody's different. Every producer, every filmmaker is different. So when I first started out, I found that sometimes it will be inevitable to be rejected in a perhaps not most diplomatic way. If you approach people at a film event or a film festival, so sometimes this will happen. But more often than not, I found people are open, people are friendly and not aggressive. And me personally, so I think it's also a matter of timing, and sometimes you need to be a bit lucky. So I remember when my current assistant approached me, and that was a cold email, and my assistant at the time had just quit. So he moved on to something else, and I was looking for somebody else, and there was this email, and we've been working together several times since, and we just recorded a big project with a 65-piece orchestra 2 days ago. That's we worked together on. So I think it's a little bit of luck about the timing, and I think you just need to keep doing it and know that sometimes there will be a rejection, and sometimes there might be this awkward response, or not quite perhaps as you had hoped for.
What you just said right now, as I said at the beginning, I just linked the dots together, and I realized that that's what happened to me as well without even thinking. When I went to an event, a BFI, and I met this guy, that is just, he became a friend, but he was also editor, freelance editor, and special effects. And we just became friends. I never asked him for a job because I even never thought to ask him for a job. We were just talking as editors. We show ourselves our work. We stayed friends for, not even friends, we never really went out, but chatting and stuff for maybe even a couple of years. And then randomly, he's the one who got me the first contact for an editing job because he just had too much work, and he was like, listen, I don't have time to do it. You want to do it because I know how you will do it and stuff. Like, okay. And since then, he's in contact. He got me another contact, and that's how I started to do freelance editing. And actually, it's just thanks to this friend, that is Amin. Thank you so much, Amin. And it happened like that. I never asked him for a job, but we knew each other. We knew what we were doing, and when it was not expected, everything started.
Yeah,
so absolutely,
the power of networking.
You see,
and timing
I just connected
well.
all the dots.
Well, yeah, it's like I'm gonna go into another question, but I just want to say, Michael, you remember how we met? Yeah. So we met mutual friends. So Michael's a boom operator, sound guy, as you know, very good one at it. A friend of mine, a friend of ours, Sanchez, who's unfortunately not here because does drama classes on a specific time, so that's why he's not here. So that thing about practice applies again. So he was shooting an independent film, and I was going to go on set for my film club. I was just going to do a write-up and so forth. And then Mike was doing the boom on it, and then we started talking. And then, lo and behold, he'd worked on a friend of mine, a film that she helped produce called Redcon. You remember the horror? And then I was like, what? So what is the chance of that? That's what I'm doing. The industry is very small. So everything they've said here about being humility and stuff, and yeah, says bear. Do you want to come? If anyone wants to ask something, just come forward and I'll give you the mic.
Yeah, I'm very chatty, and like you said, I'm going to take every opportunity I can. What I wanted to ask you is about agents, and I'm a generalist. My specialty is screenwriting and writing in general. So, but I've got experience doing pretty much everything from boom operating to directing. And when looking for an agent, what agencies would you go? Is an agent important? And depending on, are there agents that are general? Like if you want to be, I'm looking, I'd want to work in radio, I'd want to work in television, streaming sites, film, short film, whatever. I've done the work, I can do it. Are there different types of agents? Should you have different types of agents, or can one agent, fit all the hats?
Right. Start with Ross and we'll work our way down with this one, if anyone wants to contribute. But
Sure.
Ross.
So what I can say, one thing I can say right away is, at least in the music side of film, I can imagine it will be similar with other agents as well. Agents often look for someone who has already made it to a certain degree. So it's always, starting out is always the hardest, yeah? But you need to do whatever you can to achieve a certain level, to be able to present a few credits perhaps, and some experience, some network that you already have, that people keep coming back to you. And of course you will have your show reel and all the technical things, but then I think there is such there is a time to approach an agent, and that time might perhaps not be at the very start. That's what I could say right away, and let's see what the colleagues have to say.
Well, I don't have an agent. I work for myself. I just get work from my recommendations or my network. I think it all depends on your chosen area, and a bit like what you said, where it's it just all depends on what you're doing, and what you were saying about it, where they kind of look for someone who's already at a certain point in their career as well. So, yeah.
I don't have an agent either, so I skip this question.
Yeah, same for me.
Maybe I can perhaps add that this is very much a business side of things, so it's easier, much easier, or perhaps even just only possible for an agent to sell an actor or a talent, a crew, anybody who already has something to offer. It's very difficult to say, well, he doesn't have any experience or very little experience, but would you take him on as I don't know what role in our new £25 million feature. So I think just gathering that experience in order for agents to be able to sell whatever area it is.
Appreciate Ross on the right of the representation. I'm just going to go because we've got 5 minutes left, so I'm going to do a double prong questions. Obviously, what's the most, from all your certain mediums, what's the most important technical aspect that you advise anyone to learn for what you guys do? What is the one most important aspect they should fundamentally know more than anything? So I'm going to start with Gabby and then work my way down to Russell. The most technical fundamental aspect that they need to learn, number one, before they build up anything else.
For script supervising in particular, I'd say critical thinking, analytical thinking. One thing about being a script supervisor is we're actually very privileged in the fact that we get to sit down with the director and sort of crawl into their brain and find out what kind of movie they want to make. And then hopefully by production, you guys are on the same wavelength, and the communication is so crystal that you guys can just give each other looks or shorthand sentences, thinking, okay, well, in this scene, what's the end goal? What's most important? What's the emotional beats that we want to hit? And I think being on the same wavelength as your director and clear, concise communication is the most important thing.
Darryl?
Okay, for me, for writing, it's getting your IT skills up to scratch. Both working within things like WordPress, because a lot of times you're going to be working sort of generally from home, and you're going to be going from site to site to site, and it's all about knowing how to use WordPress effectively. And also in the same sort of like connected is writing for SEO, to generate those clicks, to make sure that what you're writing is easy to read and easy to share. So it's just getting that. There's loads of guides online, loads of reading that you can do to get those skills down. Again, you get it through practice, practice, practice.
So about editing, I would say take notes. Like the first time when you see the footage for the first time, take notes, put markers physically in your time, in your sequence, and put notes of what you're feeling the first time you see that shot. Because when you start to edit, then you probably will see it not one time, not 2, 3, 4, 100 of times, and it's difficult to maintain the first impression, the first emotion, when you saw it the first time and when you saw it after 100 of times, you're seeing the same scene. So take notes of what were your emotion and your first thought about that, because when you put it together, when someone watch your film, they saw it for the first time, so it's good to remember what was your first impression. So take notes.
I'd say, yeah, definitely communication, especially with sound. You know, you're working with other departments closely, especially camera, the grips, all that kind of stuff. Like even lighting to some degree, because it's going to affect, mic placement and various other things. Critical thinking, like with sound, sometimes you have to work quite fast. You've got to mic up actors really quickly. There'll be periods where you're sort of waiting around for a long time, and then suddenly it's like go, go, go. And generally, a lot of the times they won't wait around for you too long. When you're working in sound, you generally have to be like on the ready, or like read the room. Be like, okay, this looks like it's getting near to like shooting time now. Let's prepare, get ready. And then you're ready to go, because with sound it's all about signal to noise ratio, trying to get the best mic placement, and you're not going to do that if you don't have communication with your other departments, because sometimes if you're on good terms with them, they'll help you out and be like, you know what, we can do this for you, we can frame it like this, and you can get your microphone a bit nearer to the actors or whatever the case may be.
Good points. I would say in my field as a film composer, TV composer, it's knowing how to tell a story with music. So one thing is to be able to write music or to make music. Another thing is to know how to tell a story with music. So composing for film is different than just writing a piece of music on its own. And I found this to be an important aspect of filmmaking, just to support the storytelling process. So perhaps reading books about storytelling, so I read books on storytelling structures and sit fields. I'm sure it's an author that many know. So storytelling in itself, I think, is important.
Thank you, everyone. Just to wrap up what everyone said, like I said, just have a good work ethic, keep practicing, have self-belief in yourself, ignore the naysayers, just find your true self. Once, I've sort of said this a few times before, once you tap into who you really are, and then you connect that with your work, whatever vocation that is, whether you're a sound guy, actor, whatever it is, then that will help propel you in the path, and then everyone else will see that energy. Like you attract what you're meant to attract. What you're not meant to attract, it will go sideways. But you just be true to yourself. It can be very difficult. There could be pressure from every side. But once you're true to yourself, enjoy what you're doing, the rest will sort itself out. Just keep writing, keep working, be courteous, be forward-thinking, bigger picture, be prepared to innovate yourself. Try to do stuff that no one else is doing, because that makes you stand out from the crowd. If 50 people keep doing that, you be with the other 10 that are doing something different, or just be your own lane. Just try and be in your own lane, but as long as it's true to yourself, it just gives it a better energy and synergy whenever you're doing anything creative, you know? So, like I said, I wish you well. Obviously, once again, I want to thank MCM Comic Con London 2022 for welcoming us back for our sequel. Thank you for everybody coming here. Thank you, Gabrielle, Darryl, Valentina, Michael, Ross, for all the expertise. Thank you for listening. Feel free to ask us any questions after this panel's done, after contacts. We're more than helpful. Like I said, I believe so much in giving back, you know? Like any knowledge, I found out through my own path, so did everybody here. But I love just giving back to people. I get as much satisfaction from giving back to people that want to succeed in creative as much I get from doing my own project, whether it's writing an article or whatever, or organising an event or so forth. So thank you so much for welcoming us. And I got interrupted again. Valentina, sorry, go ahead.
Just because you say you attract people similar to you, it just came to mind. If you're producing if you're an independent like me, or if you want to do your own project, also consider you have your own audience. Like, find your own audience, because that also depends where you will upload your work, to who you will present it, where will you put it out. Like, everyone has a different audience, so find your own audience as well. Sorry, but
no, they'll find you. Yeah, if you've got the right energy.
Yeah.
It's like a universe thing, right? Will energy. So, but thank you again, and I hope you enjoy Comic-Con. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And shout again to Dale and James. Thank you. I've gone over time again, haven't I? Sorry about that. Yeah, thank you.